Hello and welcome to this tips and techniques video from Master Your Photography. In this series we've carefully crafted a collection of short videos designed to provide you with key points on specific topics without any of the unnecessary waffle. Our goal is to give you practical information that you can immediately apply to your own photography. We understand that your time is precious, so we've condensed each video to deliver concise, actionable information. With our tips and techniques series, you'll gain the knowledge and the confidence to improve your photography in no time at all. So, that's probably enough waffle, let's get started. At some point you will probably come across a situation where you need to take a photograph through a pane of glass, through a window. And this brings all sorts of problems, the main one being that of reflections. Now there are various techniques we can use, but the most important one will probably involve you changing the lens hood that your camera came with. You see, most lens hoods tend to be what we call a flower or petal or tulip design, so they don't have a flat front. And one of the best ways to minimise reflections is to actually have a very flat fronted lens hood, preferably one that's made of rubber so it's slightly flexible as well. And in this way what we can do is we can push the camera right up against the glass and minimise those internal reflections. We can stop the reflections bouncing off the window and back into our camera lens. You have to make sure that the camera is absolutely bang up to the window and as tight as possible, because any kind of gap that lets any light in will cause a bit of a reflection in the glass that you're pressed up against, and it will degrade your photograph. So make sure your camera is flat against the glass, or at least the lens hood is. The advantage of a rubber lens hood is of course that there is some flexibility there, so you can tilt the camera maybe ever so slightly as long as you keep the actual lens hood absolutely flat against the glass. At some point you'll find yourself in a situation where you want to take a photo through a window but you haven't got a rubber lens hood with you. Don't worry about it, you can use what we call the hand cupping method, where you basically form a lens hood from your hands and just keep as tight a seal as possible between the lens and the glass. Minimise those reflections by using your hands to stop any extraneous light bouncing off the glass and back into the lens. It's also possible to use polarising filters to reduce some glare and reflections off glass. It doesn't work quite as well with interior lighting, but it can be effective as an extra method of reducing those reflections. Bear in mind though that a polarising filter will also darken the exposure, so you'll find yourself having to use longer shutter speeds, wider apertures or higher ISOs. Double and triple glazed windows come with their own problems, and you can actually suffer from internal reflections. Sometimes it's just a case of adjusting your camera position and the angle to minimise these. If you can darken the interior that's behind you, then that will help a great deal, but it's not always possible in public spaces. If you do have the opportunity to clean the glass that you're shooting through, then it's a really good idea, because any grime or dirt on the windows will obviously affect the clarity of your final image. It's a really good idea to actually keep some wet wipes and a lens cloth or two in your camera bag so that you can at least clean your side of the glass, even if it's not possible to get outside and clean the outside as well. If you're shooting from a moving vehicle, public transport, something like that, then those windows tend to be really dirty, so it's definitely a good idea to clean those. But the other thing to consider is your shutter speed, because if you're in a moving vehicle then you're going to suffer from vibration and movement, and so you could end up with a blurred image. So faster shutter speeds might be needed. So again, you might end up using a wider aperture, which isn't a bad idea because that will throw any reflections more out of focus anyway, and you may have to turn up your ISO so that you can use a faster shutter speed. Thank you for tuning in to Master Your Photography's Tips and Techniques series. We hope you found this video useful and practical. Remember, each photo you take is a stepping stone towards becoming a better photographer. So get out there and capture the world in your own unique way. Until next time, happy shooting.